So if I had kids, which I don't, although I am intending to try practising anyway, they would definitely have a drink at home with me. But what about you, Amy?
OK, we're going to start with Alka on line 2.
Alka, good morning.
Morning.
God, I thought there might be a joke name leading into alcoholic, I have to say, Alka. What are your thoughts, then?
Well, I was introduced to alcohol when I was about 15, 16,
Yep.
at Christmas time.
Yep.
And my older sisters were before me, and
Yep.
my parents, the idea behind it was, I think if you try and control your kids too much, you lose the control.
Yep.
If you give them a little bit of freedom, you can kind of, not control them, but you can sort of encourage that sort of discipline in drinking.
Yeah.
And my parents introduced it at a young age, and they said, you know, have a taste, and if you like it, you can have some with us. And I don't drink that regularly. It's only on special occasions. And I think it was Terry that was saying earlier on that it really just does depend on the individual. So
Yeah.
to ban drinking with your family at home at that age, it just seems so ridiculous.
Do you think there's any relationship at all between a parent who gives a child a drink at home becoming a responsible drinker, or is that it's just luck of the draw?
I think it's probably luck of the draw. It really does depend on the individual. I mean, from my experiences with my sisters and myself, I think it has encouraged us to be responsible.
Yeah.
But then I've got my cousins as well who have been introduced in the same way, and they're so irresponsible.
Yeah.
That's
That's
why-
the thing, is everyone's got
Yeah.
a different story. I can think of a guy at university, he hadn't had a drink until he got to university. He was in a bottle of scotch a day within 3 months.
Yeah,
But I think a lot of kids, if you give them the responsibility, they will not abuse it, because I think it makes them feel very grown up.
you're
I
right.
think a lot of people self-medicate on alcohol, and that's something...
What do you mean, to stop them feeling depressed?
Yes,
or
so, you know, certain things. I mean, that's why I quit when my father died, you know, so I was sort of to sort of ignore that fact and run away from it. I was drinking far more than I should have done. And that's it, you know, people, it can make you, let's be honest, make you feel great, but at certain points when things hit the fan, it's like putting fire out with petrol. It doesn't work, you know.
Here's the other thing that I'm fascinated by, is because we keep talking about binge drinking culture. And you'll have to forgive me on this, Terry, because it's football versus rugby. You know, they can't hand out alcohol at football matches because they'll end up killing each other, but you can go to a rugby match and watch a huge crowd, barely capable of walking, apparently having the times of their life without violence. So is it alcohol that's the problem we have in this country, or the people?
Well, I don't know, people still drink at football.
Yeah.
What is annoying is the European games. You know, if I get to Old Trafford and they kick off that little bit earlier, you know, 7:45, and you get there and you just want one drink, and there's an alcohol ban in the ground on European matches. And it's not as
Because of past trouble, though, isn't it? That's why it's there, because of past trouble.
Well, yeah, but I can't remember there ever being any trouble at Old Trafford. No. You know, especially in the European...
But it is fascinating that, you know, we think, oh, alcohol and people don't mix, and you have these horrible visions of Nottingham and all of that, and the high streets, but you know, the rugby I find extraordinary, because, you know, I see the games quite a lot, you know, the crowds quite a lot, and they are really, really drunk, but not much trouble. Or no trouble.
I don't know. I think that's because the game itself makes them all nod off.
Oh, you stop that.
Sorry. It never gets going, does it? It's always stopping every 5 minutes. What are they doing now? Now they're all squeezing each other's buttons.
OK. Alka, thank you for the call. Let's have another.
OK, our next caller comes from an Italian family. It's Peter on line 1.
Morning, Peter.
Good morning, Matthew.
What are your views of parents and children and alcohol, then?
Yeah, 2 points, really. First point is, from an early age, I had alcohol on the table, and it wasn't a big deal to me, and I grew up north as well.
Right.
And I think that the reason why there's a problem is because it was seen to be an adult thing to do, so all my mates would get drunk because, you know, he's older and more attractive to the girls because he's drunk. It's like a big man thing, whereas in Italy, it's looked down upon, and if a man can't hold his liquor, he's not a man. So...
Back to Terry's point about underage drinking in pubs made you pull your socks up, really, made you behave.
Well, yeah, I mean, when I was in Italy for 10 years, you know, children would come in. If they wanted some wine, they got some. It wasn't a problem. It wasn't seen to be an adult thing, whereas I think over here, children want to grow up earlier, so they'll want to smoke and they'll want to drink just to appear more adult. And I think that I agree with some of the panels saying that if you forbid these things, these children will want to go and do them.
OK, is Peter right that children here want to grow up faster than they do elsewhere?
I think we're incredibly intolerant in this country of youngsters, especially teenagers. I think they get a really bad rap. And basically, if I was 16 or 17, I'd much rather be in the pub with my mates, drinking 2 pints, than hanging around behind some garages, drinking about 9 breezers or whatever.
And also, there was a time when I was a kid, I remember if we were on holiday, my mum and dad used to take me into the pub, And obviously I wasn't allowed to drink, but that was an only child, so there's nothing else they could do with me. So they would have a drink, and I would sit there and have a glass of orange or something, and that was perfectly normal. There were lots of kids where that used to happen. But it doesn't make you think, I'm going to go and have a drink when they've gone. It did quite the opposite, because I saw a lot of people make fools of themselves, and I thought, that's not cool at all. So, you know, I don't know what it is. I think if you forbid something, somebody says to me, you can't, if I'm on a diet and says you can't have that sweet,
all you want is that
I want
sweet,
20
more
of
than
those.
any of it.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I mean, this is all about no alcohol urged for under 15s. And I just do not think they'll ever be able to police this.
Well, I mean, it's only a recommendation anyway, although, you know, I wouldn't put it beyond the government to come up with legislation. We've had 6,500 other laws introduced over the last 10 years or so.
Right, can you imagine if it was a law?
Well,
I mean, they can't stop people stabbing people on the street, so they're not going to stop people.
Well, they can do it when they
drinking
come round to check everything else. You've got the right light bulbs in and all of that. Peter, thank you for that. We'll take one more call and hopefully a quick word with our audience.
OK, next call, then we'll go to Pamela on line 3.
Pamela, good morning.
Good morning.
Would you serve drink to a youngster at home?
Yes, I would.
Did you have some when you were young?
Yes, I did. Myself and my 2 siblings, we were all given alcohol at home with meals, special occasions. Obviously, it's usually diluted with lemonade or something. 2 out of the 3 of us now do not drink, and the 3rd one drinks very seldomly. I think if a child is introduced in a sensible way to alcohol, the mystery has completely gone. There is just no point then in, you know, trying to do it in a ridiculous fashion, because they've been introduced to it in the proper way.
Again,
and they know how to drink, and they know it's, you know, it can be a nice sociable thing to do. As it happens, I now don't drink. I mean, when I was about 14, 15, I used to go to parties, and my friends were drinking, and it was hideous what they were doing, absolutely hideous. And I used to go home and say, Mum, you're not going to believe what they were doing. Because I'd been introduced to it, there was just no... I just thought they were ridiculous. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing with my children. But, I mean, I'm not going to say it would work for every child.
No.
But it would also depend on the parents and whether they drink sensibly.
I'll be honest, Pamela, because I think you're going to extend the argument to illegal drugs as well. I think that one of the things that drives the illegal drug market is the prohibition, that people wonder what it is, and that wonder then becomes something that leads them on. Thank you for the call. As I said, we've got some young people in the audience. How was the chat?
We have indeed. So this is Chris. So Chris,
how old are you?
I'm 17, sorry.
15? When's your birthday, son? What's your name again? Who are you? So, what do we think about alcohol at home? You had a drink at home?
I do occasionally drink at home, but it's more down to the responsibility of parents, because I know some parents who will give a glass of wine to a child, then they will grow up responsibly drinking, but then I know some other parents who would buy a crate of beer for their children, and then they go out and get hammered at the park or wherever they get hammered, and then it doesn't lead to responsible drinking.
Really? You're aware of parents who give a case of beer to their teenagers?
Some cases. I mean, like, it's not a common thing, but like I know a couple of parents who buy their children like quite a lot of alcohol to them to go out and get drunk out on the streets. It is quite ridiculous, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Is it?
Has he had a drink this morning?
I mean, that really does. It makes you think about the whole argument, because you're always assuming that the parents themselves are going to be responsible enough not to turn their children alcoholic.
That's the problem.
It's another one is Red Bull. I've seen them in the off-licence, and, you know, they're just buying cases of that to sort of like, and it's totally legal. They can have what they want there, you know.
OK.
I'm not bitter. Huh? It doesn't bother me not
just let it go, let it go.
It's been 5 years, I can't. I'm so thirsty. I just want a drink.
After the break, has Big Brother had its day?